Okay, so I wanted to demo the first look at the AudioPod's WordPress plugin. So AudioPods, if you recall, has been functioning as a standalone service so far. So I'm going to log in here and you can see what AudioPods looks like. So once you log into AudioPod, you will see that you have your podcast in front of you. So I'm going to look at this awesome test podcast here. It has your recordings, number of recordings you've got in there, and the number of minutes that you've used. So if we look in here, we see a few different files. We can see the upload date. We can copy the link, and that gives us a URL that we can drop into a podcast plugin or whatever we happen to be using. There's our public MP3 file. Okay, so of course, browsing for files and uploads and all that kind of works. So far, I'll do a test file real quick here. You can see the file drops up, and it just plops in another copy of the same audio file right here. Okay, now, the exciting part is the integration with WordPress. So if we click on this little cog right here, you'll see that we can see the linked users to this account. And then if you scroll down, you'll see there's an API username and a key. You can generate more keys along with kind of the nickname where it's being used. So this is being used for WordPress. So if we go back over to WordPress, I've got the plugin installed. We've got AudioPod running, and I've got a few different WordPress podcast plugins running as well, or not running, but installed. So the first thing to do is once AudioPod is activated is drop into the settings, go down to AudioPod, and then you've got to connect up the API username and API key. You can ignore this for now. This is just a placeholder. Save those settings. And from there, then what that does, it gives you a new option here within the media library. So you've got AudioPod right here, and you can then, to that linked podcast, you can actually just drop in your new files right here. So I could find any old MP3 file I've got, and I can upload it right here. You can actually see those two are synced with what was happening on the main AudioPod website. So I'm going to drop in some audio here. Pop this in, it's uploading, and give it a sec, it'll refresh here. Oh, it's a little bit too big. Okay, so let's try a little bit smaller file. So let's do a 8 meg file for a test. There we go. Okay, so here's our file right here. It's available. Now, once we go into like Sermon Manager, the typical way of adding a sermon in, you go to Add New. You've got a new title, grace message. You can enter all of these details, blah, blah, blah. But what matters here is the location of the MP3. You hit add sermon audio instead of having to paste in a URL and doing it manually. You can just hit add sermon audio, and there are all of your AudioPod files available. So we can click on this one, use this file, drops in right there. We publish this post, and now we'll visit it.
We're coming to a great section of scripture today.
And there it is. Right there. Same is true if we're using Seriously Simple, so I'm going to show that real quick here. So we'll go ahead and deactivate this one, and we'll do Seriously Simple. And if we go to Add New Episode, another sermon audio, and we follow this and we hit Upload File, it pops up in the media library as familiar, and we just drop in the MP3 that we want to use. And hit publish, and there we go, we've got this. There it is, right there. So we've got compatibility right there. A couple different things we're still working on, but for the most part, we are there. We're really excited because what we've done is we actually added it in as an attachment post type. So you can actually, anything that the media library can access will include automatically your files from AudioPod. So they will be available for you actually to use from anywhere. So they're available right here. You can play them right here. You can see, and then it just has a URL for the file is right there. But everything else is handled like any other audio file. Sorry about that. So that's AudioPod with WordPress now enabled. Super excited. Thanks for watching.